Today the church celebrates an extraordinary figure in the history of the leadership of the church and in the history of the great treasure of mercy that the church exercises. Today is a feast of Pope Callixtus I. This was a slave who became the Pope, and very specially, this is one of the popes who in a time of great darkness opened out the heart of God, the mercy of God, through the church's exercise of forgiveness to the people. He authored some landmark decisions in the dispensation of mercy. And truly, we know how great he is by the way he became an author and advocate of mercy, which is the nature of God.
The Church celebrates the feast of Saint Callixtus I, Pope, defender of the Holy Trinity and martyr, on October 14th. While little is recorded about him in church records and those that survive were written by a sworn enemy, many scholars view Pope Saint Callixtus I as one of the greatest popes in early church history. Callixtus was born to a Christian slave owned by a Christian in the household of Caesar in the 2nd century Rome. He was placed in charge of a Christian bank which went broke after many of the citizens' monies were loaned to fail to pay them back. Knowing that he would suffer blame for the bank's failure, Callixtus fled the city but was caught and returned to his owner. While he wasn't a thief, he was still sentenced to the treadmill, then later to the tin mines where he slaved many years. Eventually, along with other Christians, he was later ransomed and returned to Rome, becoming a free man. Pope Saint Zephyrinus selected Callixtus to oversee the Roman public burial grounds in Rome, today known as the Cemetery of Saint Callixtus. He was eventually made a deacon and then elevated to archdeacon. In this role, Callixtus was responsible for the administration of the church's property, the oversight of the clergy, and organization of the burial of martyrs in the catacombs on the Appian Way. During his time, the church began to build churches, which, though destroyed through various persecutions, were eventually rebuilt. 18 years after having his freedom purchased, Callixtus succeeded as pontiff, the 16th pope. As pope, he regulated the discipline of the sacrament of penance, ruling that penitent sinners were welcome in church. He defended the faith against the adoptionist and modalist heresies regarding the Holy Trinity and the person of Jesus Christ. Regarding forgiveness of sinners, Pope Callixtus, more aligned with the sentiments of Jesus, saw the church as a place for continuously reclaiming the repentant sinner. He was on more than one occasion accused of heresy, especially in regards to his proclamations regarding penance and communion and marriage across economic classes. His leadership of the church put him in conflict with Roman civil law, but he stated that in matters concerning the church and the sacraments, church law always triumphed civil law. While he had many critics, Pope Saint Callixtus I taught what the church has taught for centuries, including today. During the pontificate of Saint Callixtus, the reign of Alexander Severus began, who actively engaged in persecution of Christians. Callixtus was forced to take shelter in the poor quarters of Rome, hiding from authorities. Calipodius, a priest who would be martyred, appeared to him saying, "Father, take courage, the hour of the reward is approaching. Your crown will be proportionate to your sufferings." Soon afterwards, Callixtus was discovered, and the house in which he was hiding was guarded by soldiers who received the order to allow no food to enter it for days. After this initial starvation, Saint Callixtus was martyred. With a rock suspended from his neck, he was thrown from a window into a well in 223. His body was recovered by the faithful, and he is entombed in a cemetery along the Via Aurelia.